Welcome to my tutorial number 11. It's titled UFO Invasion Game. It's the first tutorial in a series. I'm sure there's going to be a 11A and 11B. When you finish this series of tutorials, you'll be able to make a game that is similar to this one, Invaders from Mars. Click the button, the Martian ships come down, you shoot them. When they're all gone, the game's over, you win, play again. This time I won't shoot them all. If any of the saucers touch the blue line, the invasion is complete for the Martians. They've landed, they've taken over. I've used 3 saucers. You can put as many as you want on the stage. We'll start by opening a new Flash document. And make sure your library panel is open. We're going to make a new symbol. It's going to be a movie clip. It's going to be ships with a capital S, ship S, S for saucers, _ MC. And in that, we're going to eventually make one of those fancy flying saucers, but right now I'm just going to make it a ball. I'll use a blue stroke and a red, and I'll make sort of like a oval shaped thing. There it is there. With your selection tool, make sure the item is selected. Go up to the modify, convert this oval shape to a graphic, and just call it saucer. That way there it will stay together as one piece when we're trying to move it. Let's go back to scene 1 and put this saucer on my stage. There's my stage. Down here, the size, double click on that. I want it to be 700 by 550. Okay. Call this first layer saucer. There it is, call it saucer. And select the first frame of this layer. Click on your movie clip ship S. Just put it anywhere there for now. I'm going to be writing some script on this, so it needs an instance name, and the easiest thing for me is to copy this. Right click copy and right click paste. So now I have a ship on that stage. I need a frame for action script, so I'm going to lock my saucer layer, insert a layer, action script, AS, that's what I call it, and in here we're going to write some code for this saucer. We're going to declare it as a variable, VAR, capital SHIP, capital S, _ MC, colon, and see how this comes up and says, oh, here's some hints, different things you can use. And in our case, this is going to be a movie clip, capital M, O, and right away down here it found movie clip. You can just hit enter and a semicolon. The next thing we need on our stage is a button. So we'll select the saucers layer. Everything else is locked. We'll insert a layer and call this button. I'm just going to call it button for now. And select that layer. And I'm going to use my oval tool again. I'm going to use the same stroke blue, but I'm going to make my button green, green for go. And here I'm going to hold my shift down and just draw a little circle. Grab my selection tool, highlight that, go up to the modify, convert that to a symbol, button, start button, capital S-T-A-R-T underscore B-T-N. That's okay for me. There's my button. I'm going to write the code for the button on the action script, so I got to give this button an instance name. We'll copy this start button and paste it in here. Go back to your action script actions and type the same thing here, but this time for the button. V-A-R, it was called start, S with a capital S-T-A-R-T underscore B-T-N colon. And this time again, when you start to write button, B-U, there it comes up right here, see button. Once you see that and it's what you want, you hit enter and a semicolon. We're now going to write the script that will allow the button to put the saucer on the stage rather than it being there when we first start. I'm a slow typer. It's type in here. And there's my code. It says start button. You can cut and paste that start down here if you want. You can write, or you can rewrite it. Period. On release, small o, capital R, equals function, F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N, open and close bracket, curly bracket. Then we're going to write this code, and then we're going to have another curly bracket. Usually what I do is after I write function bracket, I open my curly bracket, I put some double spaces, put the closed curly bracket, then I put this in. Alright? So now, ship S underscore movie clip, period, underscore X. This is where the X axis is. That's this way. I'm going to pick a random number for that with this code called math random, capital M-A-T-H, period, R-A-N-D-O-M, small letters, open and close bracket, this to multiply in the little star. This math random will generate a number between 0 and 1. So if the number is 0 and I multiply that by 550, that would give me 0. Add 75 would be 75. So when this is generating a 0, my axis would be 75, which would be over on this side of the screen somewhere. The other end of the spectrum for this math random is if it generated a 1, multiply that by 550, gives you 550. Add the 75, that would be 625. That would put you on this end of the stage. For my y-axis, I'm just selecting 50, so all my ships are going to be up in this area. Let's go back to the scene 1. Let's make the stage very small, and let's hide this saucer. So all the layers are locked. The saucer layer is unlocked. First frame, just take that and put it out of the way so when we first turn it on and test it, we do not see any saucers. So let's test this. No saucers. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. So that's working out pretty good. The next thing we want to do is have it that the start button is not directly controlling the axes of this ship. So we're going to make another function, and the function we're going to make is going to be called make a ship. I'm typing this in, type. It says function, make a ship. M-A-K-E, small m, capital A, capital ship, S, capital S. I recommend that you use the same labeling I'm using, unless you're good at keeping track. There's my open curly bracket, couple spaces down, my closed curly bracket. This information here I want to happen inside this make a ship S function. So I'm going to cut this, paste it in here, and all I'm going to put up here is I'm going to tell this to go to this function. So what I'm going to do is copy this with the curly brackets included, copy it, click right here in between these two curly brackets and paste that and put a colon. Now this is going to call that function for us. Let's test this out and see how well this works. So now the button is not directly calling it, it's the button is calling a function. We want now that more than one ship can be coming on this screen at the same time. So we're going to, in our actions panel again, right after this curly bracket, we're going to type this in, and it's a long stretch. It says the movie clip that you have called ships S underscore MC. This is going to make a duplicate of that. Okay? It's a small d in duplicate, capital M for movie, capital C for clip. This is very important. And to do this duplicate movie clip function, we need to have three things. We need to have something called a ship's name, a ship's depth, and something called initializing. And I'm calling that initial ships S. All right, I'm going to hold next. Now we need to have a ship's name. So right here after this curly bracket, enter and type this. It's the ship's S name, the same as this. You can actually cut this and paste it up here. It's going to equal. Now, some of you recognize this as a string. If you use strings, this is a very, very simple thing to you. For those of you that haven't used strings or are not overly familiar, anything that appears inside of quotation marks, those letters, they will be used exactly as you see them. So this ship's S is the same as this ship's S. This says plus string. This is the syntax. Capital S. That's in blue. The plus sign doesn't mean add. What the plus sign means is whatever's in these, whatever's going to happen here is going to appear directly after this word's ship S. And in our case, it's going to be something called the ship's count, which we'll deal with in a second. That's going to be some kind of a number. Again, added to that physically on the end will be our underscore movie clip, because that's how we've been labeling our stuffs, our movie clips. Which means now we got to make a variable called ship's count. So copy this. Copy this. Go up to our variable area. We'll put it right here. var, V-A-R. Paste that ship's count. Colon. It's a number. Capital N, U, and there it is. Appeared down here for me. Enter. And I'm going to make it equal to 1. So we'll start with ship number 1 and a colon. Now to see what this is doing, let's take and copy this from the quotation mark to quotation mark. So right click and copy that just for a minute. Click at the end of that string, put an enter sign, and paste this for a minute. Go to the very front of the line, put your cursor there, and write trace, T-R-A-C-E. It should be in blue, space, open bracket, and go all the way to the end here, close bracket, colon. Let's go down here at the very bottom, put a enter sign, and here we want to take this ship's count and change it every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So copy ship's count, paste it here, and if you haven't used this before, but if I just put plus plus colon, this will increment this count by 1 every time we go through this loop. So we have the ship's name. We now need what's called the ship's depth. So I'll go up here. Let's go right under this trace that we're going to check out later on. And let's type this in. This is a special code. This ship's depth, you could have copied that and pasted it here, is equal to, it's very long, this, T-H-I-S, all small letters. This means the ship I'm making now, whatever it happens to be based on this string. Period. Get, G-E-T. Next highest depth. And what depths are, they're like similar to layers. You can only put one movie clip on a depth. So therefore, every time we create a new movie clip with our string, we have to create a new depth, and this will get it for us. The last thing on this list was the initial ship's S, and that's what allows us to start this. If we didn't have this initial ship's S, we wouldn't have, until this we get in here and run this, we wouldn't have a movie clip, a ship. So we have to set up this code to make this function start. It's a variable. I'm giving it the same name as I stuck down here. You can put any name you want, but I'm keeping with this ship's S format. And it says ship's initial, I-N-I-T-I-A-L, small I, colon, object. This is another tool we have. It's a holder. It can be treated like a movie clip. It's a holder. It allows us to put things into it. Capital O, B-J-E-C-T, it's blue, equals, and this is the syntax that recognizes it, new object, small n, space, capital O, open and close bracket. I'm going to move this up with my variables for a minute. I'm just going to cut it and stick it up here with my variables. Below my start function, I'm going to put my cursor, and I'm going to paste this function. It's a function that is this initial S, ship's S, period, on enter frame. Every time it enters a frame, it's going to do this initial function. The E is a capital, the F is a capital, equals function. There's my open curly bracket. I'm going to put a space, space, put my closed curly bracket. And just for now, I'm putting a line in here that says trace bracket quotation mark running quotation mark close bracket colon. Now, if we are generating a new movie clip instance names here, this won't work anymore. This code for this X and Y. So we need a new code in here. Tighten it in. And again, here's this. This means the new movie clip we created based on the ship's S name, and that's got to go in square brackets. The square brackets, they're the ones that are below the curly brackets, lowercase. So we put that for the x-axis, and we paste the same thing here for the y-axis. Let's go back to our movie clip ships. Open that up. It's highlighted. If it isn't, use your selection tool. Right click on frame 25, insert a keyframe, and drag it way down. This is why we made it a graphic, because it's more than one piece and it would probably fall apart on us. And we'd have to make sure we grab all those pieces. Go back to frame 1. It's on the center line. I want it higher than that for my test. And just come down here, click back on frame 1, come down here and do a motion tween. If you didn't make it a graphic, you'd have to make it a shape tween. Let's give this a test. When I hit the button, it's going to continuously send spaceships down, and each time I hit it, it'll say it's running. Running. There's a ship. Running. Ship. Running. Okay, so I'm going to X this off, and let's just look at this for a minute. When I first hit it, it created the ship S1 movie clip. Running, running, running. That's all the time just going through that loop. The second time I hit it, it created a second ship, number 2. And that one's running, 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 running. And the third time, and so on. I think that's enough for this tutorial. It's quite large. There definitely has to be at least one more follow-up. It'll be titled UFO Invasion Game Part 2. And I hope you learned something from this tutorial. I hope you use it. See you in the next part.